Nope, not making chocolate milk today. Today we're making milk bread, milk sourdough. We're gonna replace 100% of your water volume with unpasteurized raw whole milk. And it's really gonna change the texture and the flavor of your bread. This is a very simple variation to kind of change what you're doing bread-wise without doing anything drastic or anything crazy. I just made brioche, so my starter in the jar does not look as amazing as it did when I was making brioche and it was all expanded up to here. But there is 100 grams of starter in here, and we're gonna use it to make our milk bread. So here we go, milk bread. Let's do milk bread. All right, so we're doing milk bread, and it's gonna be just a little bit different here. I'm rolling with a 400 gram batch of flour. So my flour is gonna be my 100% that I measure everything else off of. And we're going 400 grams of flour. We're doing 325 grams of milk, which is about 81%. So I know it sounds scary, right? 81% hydration. But with the milk, it's gonna be a little drier than it would if we were using water. So it'll be okay. If you wanted to scale back down to like 75%, you'd be fine with that. So I need 8 grams of salt because my salt is 2% of my total flour volume, which is 400. It's the only thing I didn't pre-measure. Everything else is ready to go, I promise. This will be quick. So I got my salt in there. I'm gonna use a little bit of my milk, and yes, it's in a pot because I just took the chill off of it. Like really, it's probably just a touch below body temperature. And I'm gonna put a little bit in. Just incorporate my salt. Your hands are a good tool. You should use them. And I know there's 100 grams of starter in here, so I'm gonna use my milk to take my starter out of the jar. Can't use my hands for this. The easy way to get all the starter out of the jar. I made a video about this. I think it's called the easy way to get the starter out of the jar, actually. Whether you're making like a single batch and you put all of your, all your starters in this one jar, you could use some of your liquid just to, loosen it up and, scrape down the sides to get most of it out of here versus leaving lots of it behind or fighting out with a spatula. This is my second batch of dough that I'm making with the starter that was in this jar. So this makes it easy to get it out after I've already made a mess of the container, getting the first amount of starter out that I needed. Makes it easy to incorporate it. Okay, everything is in there except for my 400 grams of flour. And don't worry, I pre-measured everything just so we can just do this. All right, camera 1, camera 2. Let's go, mixing the dough. So just like making a sourdough sandwich loaf, just like making a sourdough round, just like making brioche. We're gonna use, just your fingers to tap and turn and kind of bring everything from 12 o'clock around and into the middle. And if you're used to making like a 500 gram batch of dough, this is going to feel really small, but that's okay. And then as it starts to come together, start using your thumb to grab it. Grab it and kind of smear it down the side of the bowl. Use your index finger to clean up the sides. If you make your milk too warm, it will be very sticky, just as if you were to use very warm water. Everything gets real sticky real fast. So my hands are pretty clean, but I got a little bit of stuff stuck in the bowl. I'm actually gonna scrape it. I want it. I want everything. So why not? Why not scrape it? I know as it sits here, and we stretch it and fold it, it's gonna be just fine. So rough mass, just like it is when we do like a no-knead style of sourdough. We're gonna cover this up. We're gonna go through the same stretch and fold process that we do with the regular sourdough bread. So in 40 minutes, we'll come back and we'll get our first stretch and fold. I'll see you in 40 minutes. Okay, just got my hands a little bit wet. You see our milk bread in the container. It's kind of sat down a little bit, but wet hands, we're gonna pull it out and we're gonna tuck under the sides, turn it, tuck and fold. We're just looking to create a little bit of tension, start forming some of those gluten bonds, getting the dough pulling on itself while it's in the container. And that is it. That is all we need to do. So not too sticky. The water helps kind of protect your hands. It's gonna go back in the container. You can really see how much space we have in here. But this should sit down and relax as it's hanging out. We'll come back and do this again in 40 minutes. This is like the process of how we're developing, that gluten that's gonna give us, that nice porous texture. Although this is gonna have much smaller holes in the crumb, the dog wants to go out, than like a sourdough would be if we had done it with water. Okay, the milk bread. So milk bread's interesting when you compare it to, like we've made a small change, actually a big change. We've replaced all of our water with milk. And it's gonna make it so this 80% hydration dough is a lot more, it's a lot tighter. It's just gonna feel stronger. It's not gonna get quite as elastic as in the case of using water. So I'm gonna go give this a stretch again. Wet hands. And you can see how much smoother, how elastic it is. I'm not too worried about knocking any air out of it right now. I'm more concerned with creating some good gluten bonds by stretching it. So anyway, I'm playing with the dough. I'm sorry. So I'm going to tuck it, fold it, get it to stick to itself, and want to go just a couple times. We don't want to go so far as, let's see, can I tear it a little bit? We don't want to tear open any windows. We're just creating tension. So here's our little ball of dough. It's going to look small, the container. It is only a 400-gram batch of dough. But 2 stretches down, we'll come back in 45 minutes or so. We'll stretch it again. Oh, the milk bread. It's so different from regular sourdough. So much stiffer. Can you believe that this is an 81% hydration? So much stronger. It's got some good elasticity to it, but it is, for an 80% dough, it's pretty tight. So we're gonna tuck it, we're gonna fold it, we're gonna reestablish some tension in the dough. Just like that, that's it. That's all I need. Back in a little home. And we'll come back around another 45 minutes and we'll stretch it for the last time. All right, the milk bread. How are we doing? Okay, so it's expanded. It's kind of sat down in our container here. It's starting to creep into the corners. Not like it would if it were an 81% hydration regular sourdough with water. Ooh, it's got a nice light feel to it. Got some good air in it, but I'm not worried about retaining air at this point. So tucking, folding, create some tension so we can form those bonds. Have a nice crumb in this dough and this bread, the final product. And there you can see it. We've got, pretty formed mass, lots of space in the container in the corners. So we'll come back and shape this into a loaf pan tonight, and then it's going to proof out on the counter. So this is going to just kind of bulk ferment on the counter until I've got to go to bed, and then it's going to have to get shaped.